right. Good morning. Thank you all for coming out this morning on this important topic that we're discussing. It is 10:06 on Thursday, April 28th, 2022, and I hereby call this special called meeting to order. At approximately 2:15 on April 22nd, 2022, Mayor DePrio called a special meeting of the City Council for the purpose of considering a request for council action relating to the Mississippi Medical Cannabis Act submitted by Councilmember Ward 1 Finley. City Clerk?
Mayor DePrio.
Here.
Councilmember Finley.
Here.
Councilmember Clark.
Here.
Councilmember Marr.
Here.
Could I get a motion to move, confirm, or adjust the agenda? Motion made by Councilman Clark. Could I get a second?
Second.
Second made by Councilman Finley. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Under the presentation agenda, I'm going to start out with the city's legal counsel, briefly going over the legislation that was passed so that we have a clear understanding of where we are and where we want to head with Diamondhead. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Derek Cusick, and he is going to let us know what was passed, the legal aspect of it, and what opting out means to the residents of Diamondhead. Mr. Cusick?
Thank you, Mayor. You all will recall that earlier this year when the governor signed this act that I gave you all a briefing on what it meant and the impact of it. And really the important thing that we're discussing here today is the issue as to whether or not the city of Diamondhead is going to opt out. The way that this was passed and the way that when the governor signed it, the way it works is that all cities and counties are automatically in. This will apply. It will be legal in all cities and counties unless those cities and counties within 90 days of the passage decided by a vote of the council to opt out. That opt-out is not a permanent opt-out. The council could vote next week to opt back in. You could vote next year. You could vote whenever to opt back in. So that's an important distinction. If you do not opt out, you are automatically in, and you will have, after May 3rd, no other opportunity to opt out. Okay? That doesn't mean that the city cannot regulate, put things in place as to how we're going to regulate it. Each city, each county will have those options. Right now, we are looking at some rezoning as part of our comprehensive plan rewrite. So there's things that you can do there. The one thing I'd caution you all is, and it's in the legislation, the cities and the counties can't do anything that effectively regulates it to where it would be non-existent. So, but you can put reasonable regulations on it. There are regulations that are within, this is going to be heavily governed by the state. The Department of Health is going to be the state entity that is going to be regulating this. Heavily regulated. All cannabis that's grown and that's sold in this state will have to be grown in the state. Those seeds have not even been planted yet. So the Department of Health is working on those regulations and how that's going to work. And as I said, the city will have some opportunities as well. There's going to be requirements that are in the state law with respect to locations next to schools, churches. It can only be in the commercial area. This cannot be sold in the residential areas, things like that. But really, the important thing for you all to decide today, and the reason why we did it, Jeannie and I looked at it. We looked at the proposed legislation that came out from MML for those cities that were considering opting out. And we had talked to you guys earlier about the May 3rd deadline. And we just, out of an abundance of caution, we didn't want May 3rd to come, and you guys, if the decision was to opt out, it'd be a day late. So that's why we spoke, gave you all the advice that if you guys wanted to decide this, it would be better to do it before May 3rd, and that's how we got here today. But again, just for clarification, you're in unless you opt out. If you do opt out, It doesn't have to be forever. You can put regulations in place to do whatever you want. Also, if the council were to opt out, the residents, if 1,500 signatures by the residents would then call for a special election on this subject as to whether the city would want to opt in at that point. But again, we're not at that point right now.
Thank you, Councilman Cusick. And if the council doesn't mind, can we hear from the residents first, and then we can have discussion with legal, because we may have more questions from the residents once we hear your thoughts and opinions on it. So we're going to open up now for public comments on an agenda item, and we're going to start with the first one to sign up, Ms. Penny Crawford. For the record, we have a lot of people speaking today. Please state your name and your address when you first come to the podium, and I am going to do you a favor today since we have a lot. I'm going to put the timer on, and I'm going to face it to you so that you know when you need to wrap up.
Okay, I'm Penny Crawford. I live at 7922 Apaki Place here in Diamondhead. Been here for 16 years. I am in favor of this opt-out resolution because I don't think we're ready to have this growing and being manufactured here in Diamondhead. And I'm very much opposed to having it. We have a very small community, and as it stands now legally, from what I understand, the entire county is in an opt-in state, and it can be grown or manufactured outside of our community, outside of our city limits. And I understand that the city could, in the future, opt back in should the public want that, and should we have regulations in place to control how that's done here in our city. And we don't have any of that now. And on top of the fact that we don't have any of that now, we don't have two people representing their constituents here in Diamondhead. And I think that's another important thing. And we're going to have an election, and we will have those other two people after May the 3rd, and then all of that can happen then. But as far as I'm concerned, we definitely need to vote to opt out now. And I understand there are people here that need this medication, and I've heard lots of stories, and I believe that's a problem, and that is something they need, but they'll be able to buy it outside of our city, and that's fine. But I don't want it manufactured or grown here in Diamondhead. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. All right, I'm canceling the timer out. Okay, next we have Miss Beverly O'Hara.
Good morning. My name is Beverly O'Hara. I live at 7334 Analia Street. I vote that we do not opt out. I don't know if any of you all have experience personally with medical marijuana, but I do. My brother passed away. I was trying to get through this without crying. Anyway, last October, he had esophageal cancer, and he fought for 3.5 years. It was a godsend. I cannot imagine him facing that without the natural plant, instead of all the medication. The chemo will kill you too, eventually. So that was a big help. But they don't even have seeds in the state yet, as said, so I think we have plenty of time to get rules, regulations, all of that in place. There are many, many states that have legal medical marijuana that is a resource of how to set this up and regulate it. It's tightly regulated. It's not dealt on the street corners. I mean, you have to have a prescription, and it's legal and above board and much needed for these families. I mean, because it's not just my brother, there's hundreds of thousands of people in this country that see the good effects for it. And I just don't think that we should opt out. We have plenty of time to get things in place, and I beseech you to keep it. And also that 72% of the state voted for this, and I don't think we should opt out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. Robert Redd.
Morning, folks. Good morning. it's hard to dispute the
What's your-
fact that
what's your
supposedly you
address?
could reinstate this deal, but some people don't have that much wait time. This has been a long, torturous road to get to a vote, and the legislature passed the buck, in my opinion. And so my position is what I've echoed in emails and what she just said, although I don't directly know anybody impacted by the need of medical marijuana. I'm using the word need, because when you're in bad shape, epilepsy, and some other proven places that medical marijuana will assist, you just need it. You just don't need to be restricted or wait 2 more years. So that's how I believe. Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Red. Next, we have Pam Mindshine. Honey, I was going to be creative. You know how I am with
Everyone
your last
is,
name.
yes.
I know. Okay.
My name is Pam Mindshine. I live at 8830 Molino Place. I moved here in October I moved here in January. My husband passed away in October in Maryland, where medical marijuana is legal. And if it hadn't been for that, his quality of life would have been so bad. And I think it's so important that we not opt out. It's regulated. I mean, people are not going to be selling it from their houses or from the back of a truck. It's very, I feel like it's necessary for some people that really, really need it. And please don't opt out.
Thank you. Next, we have Scott.
Morning, Scott.
Good
Burbank.
morning.
6448 Comey Drive. I'm in favor of not opting out. 68.5% of Hancock County had voted in favor of some form of medical marijuana, which was a much less stringent bill than this one. You know, I have friends that were in the Marines that have no knees left from jumping out of helicopters, and instead of being on some sort of pain medication, you know, some sort of opioid or pain pill or something like that, you know, they live in Ohio and they have a prescription, and it allows them to have a normal life, you know, and they're productive. And so I think if we need to make a decision on this, we'd go by what the vote was of the public, you know, and of this county, and stick with that. That should be the default. So, thank you all.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Lauren Lee.
Hello, thank you, Mayor.
Good morning.
Thank you, Councilman. My name is Lauren Lee Illing, and my address is 2505 Greenview Drive in Gulfport, and I'm representing the Illing family residents of Diamondhead for 12 years at 6535 Alicoco Drive, where my mother-in-law was a cancer patient and being treated in New Orleans, where the patients next to her had access to medical cannabis through the Louisiana program, and she was denied the support in her treatment that could have helped her to manage the multiple years of ongoing chemotherapy and heavy pharmaceutical prescriptions that made everything worse, instead of having access to medical cannabis that could have made everything better. So I'm very passionate about this because of the patients, because it is our mothers, our fathers, it is the veterans that live next door, and these patients need our help to access their medicine. And I'm part of a business partnership with one of the owners of Willow Pharmacy in Madisonville. And Willow Pharmacy has been one of the dispensaries licensed by the state of Louisiana, and they've supported their community. They have helped patients recover from their treatment better, get back to their lives sooner. They have contributed to charitable organizations and been philanthropic, and they've paid a lot of taxes. It's been really good for Madisonville, a very small town. Very good. These businesses are here to serve. And I can speak for myself as a someone interested in the business. It's going to be a family business, employing locals. We're projecting 30 to 60 jobs with multiple locations on the Gulf Coast, and these are good jobs. And we have plenty of attorneys and plenty of really smart people making sure that security is a priority. We will be investing heavily into security. We will be investing into our communities. And I support the sheriff's offices that ask for resources to prepare. And I think we've had plenty of time to think about it. This passed in 2020, and the people are ready, and we're here to help you figure it out. So let us help you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jill Myers.
Good morning.
Good morning.
If I seem a little shaky and nervous, it's because I have bad anxiety, so bear with me. My name is Jill Myers. I live at 9538 Pono Place. I've lived here for 10 years. I'm not going to bore you with all of my medical conditions, but I am going to tell you about the ones that medical marijuana would help me with. I've been fighting chronic illnesses since I was 20 years old, and I'm 48. I have, as you can see, I have a very serious anxiety disorder and PTSD. I'm in chronic pain full of metal parts from a car accident. I have gastroparesis, which means that my stomach won't digest my food. So every day I live with a stomach bug, basically. All of the things that come along with that. So I'm nauseous 24/7, 365. And there's no medication that helps, and there's no cure for gastroparesis. I have epilepsy from that same car accident, from a brain injury. And the medications that I have work sometimes, but other times they don't work. And in 2019, my doctors ripped me off a prescription of Klonopin. If you know what that is, it's a benzodiazepine. They prescribed it to me for 22 years and then just took me off of it. So my central nervous system is damaged due to that. I went through a year of hellish withdrawals, and I couldn't get access to marijuana because I don't want to risk going to jail, which is really sad. And we need access to this. Almost 75% of Mississippians voted for this, and we all feel like we weren't heard. It's been 2 years that it's taken to decide whether we're going to have this or not, and the people have already spoken. And I don't understand why our votes don't matter, because that's exactly the way I feel. I spent a year helping to collect signatures. We collected over 150,000 signatures for people who wanted this, and a lot of them were in Diamondhead. And I just believe that having it here so that I have access to it, so that I don't have to drive somewhere else to get medicine that I need, because I don't really drive because of my anxiety and my PTSD. So it's very difficult for me to have to drive to another city to get medication that I need. And I don't care where they grow it, just as long as we all have access to it. And I believe that we all should. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have, is it Richard? Right, Richard. Okay, come on up.
Did I spell it wrong?
No, you did. It it looked like Rachel with your writing, so I was. You come on up. It's Richard. Let's go with that.
Okay, I'm Richard Gillespie, 6477 Calipacona Way. Lived in Diamondhead about 5 years, I think now. Well, I'm here to encourage the council to vote to not opt out, or to not opt out, yes, okay? I'm over 70 years old, and I've had 3 hip replacements, and I've had back surgery, and my wife has had 2 hip replacements and a knee replacement. And sometimes, most days, you reach a point during the day where you say, I just can't take another step. It's too painful. I have 3 older sisters who also have severe arthritis, which is the cause of my problems. And I had one sister that took the medical marijuana and benefited tremendously after back surgery. And as I look around this room, with a few notable exceptions, we are, even in here, a geriatric population. Don't want to offend anybody, but we've known about marijuana a long time. You know, we've all known about it. And I'm a little bit confused because apparently in our society, opioids are okay, but medical marijuana isn't. Come on, folks. Let's not opt out.
Thank you very much. McCabe?
Good morning, everyone. My name is Bianca McCabe. I
Good
live
morning.
at 3005 Sea Oaks Drive in Long Beach. My mother has lived here for probably 2 decades at 9819 Pokai Way. And I wanted to start off by letting everyone know I'm an Air Force veteran. When I served in what is now known as Space Force. During that time, I was put on 800 milligrams of Motrin daily. Wasn't told the side effects. As an 18, 19-year-old, you don't really think that it'll affect you. Well, fast forward, probably about 8 to 10 years later, at 30 years old, I was diagnosed with end-stage renal failure. This was 2 weeks after I had my son, so he was 2 weeks old, and I was told that I wasn't able to have any more children and that I was going to be going on dialysis. I was put on a couple of medications, included high doses of prednisone and lisinopril. That was supposed to help slow the deterioration of my kidneys. I was then being seen at the VA. This all happened. We were living in Alabama at the time. Decided to come back home because I needed help with my children, and both my husband and I, and we didn't know what was going to happen from there. Is that my time?
You can go.
Okay, just really quickly, I was put on dialysis here. I was on dialysis for 3 years. I am on probably 20 medications right now, post-transplant. I will hit my 1-year kidney transplant anniversary on May 5th. And just getting back to my mom, she owns a business. She does private sitting for elderly and disabled patients. And this cannabis plant helped me so much. I have so much confidence in it that I know it would also help people like her patients. And also, I know that my grandmother, who passed away about 2 years ago, she was on high doses of gabapentin. That caused multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, and then she eventually passed away. I know medical marijuana would have helped her versus the gabapentin. Thank you.
Thank you, Bianca, and thank you for your service.
Yes, indeed.
Karen?
My name is Karen Weathersby. I live at 6541 Kiko Street, and I've been here, I think, about two and a half years now. I am very, very much surprised and heartened by the response, because the only reason I wanted to speak was because I saw so many people lined up, and I thought, all of these people are going to be anti, and so I just need to speak up. So I'm very pleasantly surprised. I have to say that although I do know anecdotally of people who have been helped by medical marijuana, I'm speaking primarily for my husband's, whose take on it is this could be so helpful for the city, for Mississippi in general, who ought to be growing this all over the place and exporting it, because of the fact that Mississippi has such wonderful land and a long growing season, and this could be a crop that the entire state of Mississippi benefits from, as far as, just tax dollars and being able to flourish. Let's see, so it could be a major source of revenue for the city. It's environmentally friendly, and I feel confident that sufficient rules would be set up as to where it could be grown, because we have such a heightened concern about that sort of thing. And so as long as the locations, I think are adequately selected as to, before companies even try to come in, as to, okay, this is where it could be grown and these are places where it could be grown, and you make rules as to absolutely where it could not be grown, I think it could be a very, very good thing for both the city and the state. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Karen. And last, we have Angela.
Hi, my name's Angela Kyler, 63775 Diamondhead Drive North. I haven't been here that long, but I came knowing that Mississippi was going to be a medical state. I have multiple sclerosis, I have fibromyalgia, I have polycythemia vera, which is a type of blood cancer. I have been prescribed, I can't tell you the amount of medications that I have taken. I've been paralyzed in bed at times from the MS. But I can tell you I have been off of those medications due to smoking medical marijuana or taking gummies. And I'm 51 years old, and I was told when I was diagnosed at 37 that by the time I was 50, I would be in a wheelchair. Well, I'm here to tell you that I'm still going out there and I'm golfing and I'm walking and I'm doing everything. I'm a retired medic. It's what I did for a living. And I've seen so many patients that could use it, and like I said, myself, it's just, you know, they talk all kinds of things about it leading into other drugs and everything, and honestly, it's something to get you off of the other drugs. Those other drugs didn't do for me, and the damage that those other drugs cause, you know, you can't come back from them hardly. You really can't. So I'm for staying in with it.
Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.
And that concludes our public comments. And we can't thank you all enough for coming out. These stories have really been what we needed to hear. We needed to hear from the public, and we can't thank all of you enough for coming out. We know it's a difficult time on a Tuesday morning at 10 o'clock. We felt we were running out of time with you know, the question of should we opt out, and the deadline being Tuesday. So thank each and every one of you for coming out, and this means a great deal to let us know how you feel about it. So at this point, we're going to start with public comments, and we'll start with our City Council comments. Y'all are finished. I'm sure y'all have a lot more to say, though. So let's start with Ward 1.
All right. Well, Ms. Penny Crawford, she could have sat up here for me. She basically, the first young lady who spoke. I'm not here. I'm not against 4. I don't honestly care one way or the other. I feel like if we do not opt out, we will not have the choice. We are not fully represented. The entire city is not fully represented. I personally have a family who, a stroke victim who could possibly be helped by the medical marijuana, so I'm not against it. I'm just against not having the choice. If we opt out today, we can opt in next Tuesday or the following Tuesday. And after the election, if we had a full council, again, I'm not for or against it. I'm just against the city of Diamondhead not having a choice. That's it. If we opt in, then we can never opt out. If we opt out, then we have a choice. That's why I brought it up to have the meeting in the first place. And that's it.
Thank you, Councilman Finley. Next, we'll move to Ward 4, Councilman Clark.
Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. This is a big topic here in Diamondhead. It's definitely, you got fors and against, and I see a lot of people every day, whether it be in the store, out on my street, talking about a lot of people in my ward. I do want to, one question I need to ask for one of my people were, will the Diamondhead doctors still be able to write prescriptions if Diamondhead opts out?
Yes.
And it would still be legal to use in Diamondhead even if we opt out?
Yes, with a prescription, it would still be legal.
Okay, because people worried about getting arrested and stuff like that if they have it. Of course, okay. So that was a big question there. Also, can you tell me how many cities have opted out in Mississippi as of today? Last I heard, on April 8th, there was 9. That's been, a
There's
few
10.
weeks.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think
10
there's
total.
I think I heard there's one other, so there's 10 total so far.
Okay.
That's cities and counties.
That's all together.
Right.
Altogether.
Yeah,
Correct.
okay.
10.
There's 82
Oh.
counties and 300 cities, so out of nearly 400, 10 is opted out.
Okay.
That was on my list to talk about, so I'm gonna scratch that off. No, there's 300 cities, roughly. There's really 299. We were 298, and there's 82 counties. So we're looking at 382 governmental entities that had a chance to opt out, and 10 opted out. Yes, we do. 10 opted out. You're very welcome.
Well, I wrote this, so I'm going to read it. Okay. It was a lot longer than this, but I cut it back down for everybody. Okay. I would like to start off with, I feel we should wait until each ward is represented by their own elected official. People want their own person to represent them, and I completely understand that. Missing 2 council members out of 6 is a valid reason for me to want to opt out until we have a full board. Another concern is the lack of knowledge that this issue was before us. The majority of residents I spoke to did not realize we had an opportunity to opt out. I hate that we had not brought this to the table before now. Okay, are we ready by city codes and policies? Do we have a place for the business or businesses to be able to operate? Is this going right in the middle of our shopping center? Don't these places have to have an exhaust system for their fumes? And if so, does this go into the air we're all breathing? Do we want our kids and our family members to be forced to breathe this in? Ma'am, just please be respectful. I didn't make any comments during your talk, please. Thank you. Okay. I've received many text messages, Facebook messages, emails, and had many conversations about medical marijuana this past couple of weeks. I am the voice of Ward 4 and only Ward 4, and can honestly say the majority of the people that have asked me to opt out. I received 5 emails to opt in. By the way, that number that I had was total in Ward 4, asked me to opt in was 8. The total asked me to opt out were 43. That's personal conversation, the emails, everything with me. So I just want to throw that out there. Okay. Some would like to wait and see how other cities deal with the implementation of the medical marijuana and dispensaries in their cities. It can provide us opportunities to ensure the best outcome. I do understand the medical help it can give to people that need it. Until we get a full board and the answers to the questions I have raised, I am grateful that they would still be able to get it from a city nearby if we do opt out. City revenue is something to be considered, but other issues need to be addressed as well. I want to make sure my neighbors, friends, family, kids, and grandkids of mine enjoy living in the best community around. I've spoken with teachers, and their concern in the upper grades is they can't even control the vaping in the schools. I've spoken to police officers and get their thoughts on it. And anyway, I've spoken and I've gotten both sides of that, okay? I've spoken to the mayor, Patrician, where they voted 5-0 to opt out, for now. They are similar to us in most aspects and are taking the same approach that I feel we should. I just feel this time we should opt out. We're not going to be able to please everyone in this decision. I just think that while we have the opportunity to make sure we keep Diamondhead going in the right direction, but at vote time, whatever happens, happens. I will still go to my job. I will still have my family and my friends. I will be able to sleep tonight knowing good about me representing Ward 4.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Councilman Clark. Now we're going to move to the councilman at large. Councilman Marr.
Yes, well, I respect what my fellow council people said about the reasons for opting out, and they are good and valid reasons. But when I look and weigh everything, I say the only solution seems to me to be opt-in. People voted for this in November of 2020. 74% statewide, 78% in the county of Hancock. So there's a very strong wish for this that we've had long-term coming for this. In addition to that, we then had where it was said, this is not right, it was challenged, and it was taken off. It took another year before the legislature approved it. The legislature did a wonderful job in providing safeguards for this. The process of going from agriculture to the processing plant, to getting it a lab checking the processing plant. The trucks have to be certified, bringing it to the dispensaries. The dispensaries have security rules. All of this has been taken care of to protect us, the citizens. We have 37 states that have already approved medical marijuana, and we have history with it. So to be saying we need to wait further seems to be ridiculous at this point in time. We don't need to have this acted on. We need to be what we're called to be as leaders of the city. We need to lead and say, yes, we can do this and we can handle it. We have already Orion with that 2040 plan writing up new codes for all the zoning. So this is easily to be implemented before the July 1st date. It's not an insurmountable thing, and so that's why I would say we need to opt in.
Thank you, Councilman Marr. So now the mayor's comments, which I wish I would have went first because that leaves me hanging, doesn't it? But mine is all prepared, so you will know where I stood the moment I walked in and how I strongly feel about it. The most difficult part of being an elected official, the thing that I find the most difficult, and I'm sure people to my left and my right feel the same way, is to vote not the way you feel as an individual, is the way you want to vote, but to vote as the way the constituents have asked you to vote. Since the moment I have sat in this chair, I'm on my 42nd ward meeting. I send emails, I all but knock on your front door asking your opinion. And I hope you all see that. I am open 24/7, and trust me, I get calls 8 at night. We want to hear what you want, and we should be here voting the way you ask us to vote. Your wishes, we need to listen, and I've tried to listen. And I may have failed a few times, but I try to never vote the way I feel, and I think that's the most difficult part of being an elected official. With that being said, out of 82 counties and nearly 300 cities, 10 have opted out. And the reason why only 10 have opted out is because the residents in their communities are allowed to get medical marijuana. It's already out. It's legal. It will be legal for you to get it, to have it in your cities. So I'm not even sure what the opting out means. What does it really do beside allow a way to create a sales tax and a business opportunity that is allowable in the state of Mississippi, denied right to your specific location? That is the only thing it allows it to do. They're not allowed 1,000 feet from schools or churches. And I'm not sure if y'all know this fact or not, but if a child has a prescription for medical marijuana and goes to a school, the schools have to administer the medical marijuana just like it is a prescription, because it is a prescription. We're the 37th state in the nation to legalize marijuana. We're kind of at the end of it. So, I mean, all the other states, and you know, it's legalized in different aspects. Some are legalized, just legalized marijuana. Some of them have it medical and decriminalized. Some have it just medical. Some have it just decriminalized. So there's different aspects of the 37 states that have allowed it. Mississippi, you know, is moving forward with the rest of the nation, being the 37th, to legalize it. And I feel that it's going to be here in Diamondhead. You're allowed to get a prescription. It's going to be written. We may have additional costs that are going to occur to the city, so should we just have money flowing out, or money flowing out and flowing in to help with it? Should we embrace it, allow it to come in, allow to benefit from the sales tax, that the extra expenses that we're going to have incurred on the city, and it's a fact we're going to have expenses incurred with new business coming in. We need to be prepared and not have money just flowing out, have it coming in. And I know most of you know that I do have a chronic illness, and I have never tried marijuana, but I have sat in infusion centers watching people get chemotherapy for years. Every 3 weeks I was there for years. My treatment now is administered once a week at home. So I don't see that, but to see it and watch it and to understand it and to know the other things that it helps, you know, it's something that I may never try, and that's just my personal opinion, but I see how it benefits people and the impact and the need for it. So with 74% of Mississippians voting for it, I would never vote to opt out, and that's my personal opinion on it. So with that being said, is there any more discussion for the council? All right, so we're going to do.
I just want to thank everyone for coming.
Without a doubt.
I want to
Thank
thank
y'all.
everyone that sent me emails in Ward 4, all the conversations we had, all the emails, text messages, everything. Just thank you for reaching out to me and letting me know what your thoughts were on it. And I appreciate the opportunity to either opt in or out on this. Okay? Thank you.
And then looking at wards 2 and 3, because I know that was brought up, you are represented here. Whatever ward you live in, you call me and I'm there. And when I was Ward 1, I was all over the place. I wasn't just in Ward 1. So you are double represented here. You've got the councilman at large and you have the mayor that represents each and every one of you. We double each. So wards 2 and 3 are represented here today. And that's all I'm going to say.
And
So-
I didn't bring it up, but I got 21 emails for this particular subject, and out of that, 18 were for opting in, and 7 were for opting out. So.
All right, if there's no further discussion from the council, city clerk. I'm going to read the motion and call for a vote. I'm sorry. I'm jumping the gun here. All right, Resolution 2022-157. Can I get a motion to adopt Resolution 2022-035, thereby opting out of the cultivation, processing, sale, or distribution of medical cannabis and cannabis projects within the geographical limits of the city of Diamondhead, and authorize under the Mississippi Medical Cannabis Acts for other related purposes? Can I get a motion to move as written?
Move.
Motion made by Councilman Finley. Could I get a second? Second made by Councilman Clark, City Clerk.
Finley,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Marr,
No.
Mayor.
No. So the motion has failed. The city will remain in the Medical Cannabis Act, Mississippi. So can I get a motion to adjourn?
Move.
There's no non-agenda public comments? None at all. We read them all. Motion made by Councilman Finley. Could I get a second? Second made by Councilman Clark. All in favor? Aye. Thank you all again for coming out.
Yes, thank y'all for coming. This is what we need.